Namaste, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. We are here on the second episode of Upaj, which is a new series that Anirban Bhattacharya, the violinist, Chitrayud Ghatak, the Khayaliya, and me, Swarnabha Gupta, we have come up with. So we really wanted to highlight the musicians who are our favorites and the people we look up to when we are trying to play this magnanimous form of music called Hindustani classical music. And today we have one of our favorite sitar players, one of the very best of the contemporary era, Shri Samanwaya Sarkar, with us. He has toured all over the world for like decades now, and he's also a part of a very beautiful vocal and sitar duo called Devapriya and Samanwaya, which also features one of our favorite vocalists and one of the most celebrated vocalists of this era, Devapriya Adhikari. And so we are really glad to have Samanwaya with us today at the studio. Hi, Samanwaya. Namaste.
Hi, Swarnabha and Namaskar, and very much greetings, my heartfelt greetings to the whole Upaj team. They are, Swarnabha, Anirban, and they're one of their friends. His vocalist. Pardon me, not for getting his name right. What's his name again, Swarnabha?
Chitrayud.
Chitrayud, right. Chitrayud. My heartfelt greetings to all of them. The fantastic musician, they're coming up, and very, very much, thank you for inviting me on this, conversation in Upaj, and I wish you all the best with Upaj. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Dada. The pleasure is all ours. So, if you don't mind, we'll be asking a few questions regarding your music today. And we are really intrigued by.
I will answer if I'm capable enough. I'll try my best.
Like personally, I have attended a few of your workshops. I've seen a lot of your live concerts, and all of us are absolutely overwhelmed by the kind of music you're putting out there. And we are really lucky to have you in this era as one of the best sitar players that we know. So without much,
all my guru's grace, it's all my guru's grace and whatever the talim I received from my gurus and the blessings. And that's why I'm able, so far what I'm able to present and to portray, that's it, all Guru Kripa.
Okay, without much ado, we'll be starting off with the questions then. Now, the first question is the most cliched one, the one that people ask you the most. So, that is, how did your journey as a sitar player start off? And we would be like really enlightened if you could share your story with us.
Yes, it's a kind of basically how you can ask how you got entrapped, basically. Because when I started, I was only 4 years old, and it was certainly not, it was very correct or right time for me to choose what I would like to do, right? But my family, for this issue, you must know the little family background of myself. That is, my father and his all elder brothers, they're all very much trained and, practitioners of vocal music. Right, my elder uncle actually, Pradut Kumar Sarkar, he learned from Sangeeta Acharya Vishwadevara Chattopadhyay, and my second uncle Arun Kumar Sarkar, he learned for 12 years from Vidushi Hirabai Barudekar, and my father also, he learned from Pandit Lalit Mohan Sanyal, senior most disciple of Badegula Wali Ustad Badegula Wali Khasab. So music was always there in the family, right? But the thing was, none of them were professional, right? So my father brought a sitar for learning of his own. Somebody told him that for vocal music, for the mean and all, you learn an instrument so that you can guess how it takes, right? To take a mean from 5 notes to 6 notes, whatever. So he bought a sitar of himself for learning himself. But those days, 25, 30 years back, it was the communication was not that good. So he used to take a morning train up to the what we call in Bengali very much, known term is office para, right, to Planet. Yeah, he used to take the train, did the whole day office, and he used to come back. So after that, his energy level was like pretty much low, right? After fighting all the things all the time with the commute and then the office, and then, so he found it very difficult for himself. So he was about to sell it out, the sitar he bought. So then my mom came in place, my mother, and she said that if an instrument has come to your home, so let's not sell it out. Better you should try with your son. He is just growing up, and if you give him that sitar, maybe he could do, justice to it. So that's how my learning started, you know. So basically, at the age of 4 years old only, I got entrapped, because that's not the year to choose a sitar to to learn, right? That's the age, especially to to play around. That's how it started.
That was very informative, Dada. Thank you. And so we'll move on to the next question, which
Mhm.
we are all pretty intrigued about. Your sitar that we see is quite different from the usual Kharaj Pancham sitars and the Gandhar Pancham sitars that we see all around us, like the ones we have, the ones we play, or the ones we see around us. So, what are the special characteristics of your instrument, and how did you like find that perfect balance, your perfect instrument? So, if you could tell us that story.
So the sitar I'm playing right now, if you have noticed, I'm sure you have noticed that it has 8 pegs, right? Main 8 pegs. So it's not, it didn't come out my mind, right? But when it's said that whenever you meet something very negative, right, in life, but it's not only negative. There must be some positive inside behind that, right? So when my sitar broke, when I was coming from US tour in I think 2012, my second US tour was there, of course, with Devpriya Bhai, Devpriya Adhikari, the vocalist to whom I do that project of vocal and sitar duet. So we were on a tour, and I was coming back, and when I received my sitar at Kolkata airport, and it was all broken. The neck was cracked. Neck was very badly cracked, and that even my luthier, he could not he could not fix it up. So then I was looking for a good sitar, and one of the very premium manufacturers in Kolkata, it's Ashok Sardar, that's Manoj Sardar and Sons. He said me there is a sitar, and it was made for specially for Pandit Nikhil Banerjee ji, one pair. So one he took, and one is left. It's going to a museum in Germany. So if you wish, then I can talk for it. Then without thinking twice, I just said, just you go for it. I need it. And with that sitar, he managed to you bring for me. Then I saw it that 8th peg, the extra peg was there on it. So then I said, okay, if the extra peg is there, so let's accept it that way, right? Rather than changing the configuration of that instrument. So that's how my 8 peg sitar started. Playing of 8 peg sitar, and then after playing some time, some months, I just fell in love with that 8th peg actually. So I tune in a different way that 8th peg, and I'm really fell in love, and just I started after that playing this 8 peg sitar. Even my new sitar is made by P Brothers and Sons. Sumanda, you all know Sumanda. It's a very, I mean, he's growing very fast as a very great maker of sitar instrument, right? So he made my new sitar, but I made it with that eight pegs on that too. So that's how it started with the 8 peg, and all the tonality and all what I do.
That's a fantastic story, Dada. Like, that is such a rare sitar that you could, like, it just came across your way. It's such a beautiful and
Yes, exactly. I consider myself as a very fortunate one to receive that. I mean, I mean, if I haven't received that, maybe that eighth peg never come into my life.
it's so beautiful. Like,
Yeah,
it's such a touching story.
yeah, it is. It is.
Okay, so then we'll move on to the next question, Dada. Apart from
Right.
your gurus, who are the musicians who influenced you and your music the most, and how?
That's a very tough question, right? Who? I mean, better you ask who not, right? I have, but the thing is, especially right from my tutelage as a sitar, practitioner, sitar learner, my Guruji Pandit Manilal Nag, he always used to give me that suggestion and give me that instruction that you listen more to the vocal artist, vocalists. And by the time when I went to him, I was just a 6 years kid. So he used to give that instruction to my father that make him listen more vocal music than instrumental even, because that must be lodged into his subconscious, right? So whatever we do present, it's pretty much from our subconscious. Other than that, that extempo music we said, right? Our music is pretty extempo, and that extempo, that capacity of brain, it comes from basically subconscious, not from the conscious. Because in fraction of seconds we decide, and you'll be very much, I mean, agree with me. You'll agree with me that it's not possible in a fraction of seconds, right? But your subconscious must be very prepared for that. And my Guruji Pandit Manilal Lag, he used to put that mantra, what I said, Maha Mantra, for any musician, any instrumentalist, that you must listen to vocal music more than instrumental music if you are an instrumentalist. I mean, for an audience, for a music connoisseur, or for a music, enthusiast, it's a different story. You can listen to anything, whatever you like. But if you are an instrumentalist, but as we strive more to get closer, right, to the vocal way of, playing. So for that, you must prepare your subconscious listening and listening for hours to the vocal music, right? So that my guru gave into my ears when I was just 6 years old kid, and still I follow that, and that, I mean, that made me, right, like, now I can understand what's the meaning of it actually he meant, and that's why I tell very often that it's all Guru Kripa.
I totally agree with you, Dada. Like, whatever you just said completely resonates with me because my Guruji, Ishu Branil Sarkar, he also advises me always to,
Fantastic sitar player of my contemporary generation. He's a fantastic sitar player. I have a lot of admiration and respect for Subronil also.
like, he completely changed my outlook, pushed me more into vocal music, and that
I'm sure.
completely changed the dynamics of how the
Right.
instrument is speaking. And it was
Right.
very
Right.
overwhelming.
Yeah. The thing is, actually, if you want to play an instrument, it's fine. If you only follow the instrumental, level, instrumental instructions. But when you wish to speak or when you wish to sing with your instrument, then it comes to, I mean, the vocal music is must to do, right?
Absolutely, Dada. Totally
Yeah.
agreed. Okay, then shall we move on to the next question?
Sure, please.
Yes. Okay, so now again comes a very subjective and philosophical question. Your takes on riyaz for the body and riyaz for the mind. Like, how would you approach both these paths? What would you advise us to do regarding these?
Yeah. So far, I've learning since last 35 years. and still I'm learning, right? So 15, 10 to 15 years, it's just is physical riyaz, right? So you do just follow very hardcore your guru's instructions to play the sapad and paltas and gamaks and all, right? And then guru himself show you the path to the philosophical aspect, right? With the talim of the ragas and how it moves. And ragas are not only the movement, right? It's beyond, right? It's ragas are pretty much so far I have learned from my gurus that it's not uh, only like a character that has all these parts like eyes and nose and lips and hands and legs, but it they have their soul too, right? The moment you start realizing, apart from the physical aspect, the technical aspect, that the ragas they have their soul too, then the philosophical talim begins. So after 10 so up to 10, 12 years, it's only you practice and you lay a solid rock solid foundation over the skills and technical things. Yeah, if your foundation is right, then you are prepared to know. I mean, the ragas, they themselves gets opened up to you, right? If you are a chosen one, they themselves get themselves what opened up to you, that this is Yaman and this is not the Yaman like ni re ga ma da ni sa ni da pa ma ga re sa, but it's like ma re ma ga ma sa pa re ga re ni re pa ga. And there are things beyond that also, right? That's why when Sangeet Gandharva, I call him Sangeet Gandharva Ustad Ali Ahmad Khan Sahib, when he just strum his sarod, that creates the music, right? And we play the Yaman, the whole rag for half an hour, and we could not establish it. That's the difference, That's the difference between that physical aspect of raga learning and the philosophical aspect of the raga learning.
So awesome, Dada. Like that was such a beautiful explanation right there.
And
And it's so true.
these explanations, I am not telling myself, right? This is all I got from my gurus. That's why I always say that it's all Guru Kripa. You know, in our tradition, we call it उस्ताद के घरों में एक बात कहा जाता है कि बंदा हो काबिल, गुरु हो एमिल, उसमें खुदा हो शामिल.
Kya baat.
It's been written in Rag Anurag by Pandit Ravi Shankar ji in his books, that in the Ustad community it said that banda ho kabil, first the student must be capable, guru ho emil, the proper guru must be there, and usme khuda ho samil, that kripa must be there, the blessings and the kripa must be there. Tab banti hai music, tab banti hai sangeet.
Kya baat, Dada.
After that, you make music, and Ustad Bismillah Khan have said, पाग और फाग और राग कभी कभी बन जाती है.
Absolutely fantastic. Like the Ustads gave us so much, and this is what my Guruji also tells me, that classical music is called classical music because it comes from the words classiki mosiki, which means a researched and progressive form of music. So we should always try to progress it as much as we can from what our gurus left us with, and it's just so overwhelming.
Yes, of course.
Okay, Dada, I'll move on to the next question then. This is again one of the trademark questions that you might face all the time, that apart from your Tantrakari ang of sitar playing, you just told us about how your Guruji Pandit Manilal Nag pushed you into vocal music, and You have brought in several aspects of vocal music, Dhrupad, Khyal, Thumri, Dadra, Tappa, into instrumental music. And what actually kindled the interest for you to delve so deep into vocal music? And what was that journey like?
All throughout my career, my father so far has been, a very trained philosopher and guide, right? He was never a professional, but he got his talim with a vocalist, and he used to follow the instructions very, very strictly from my gurus. And when I was just, what should I say, I was just doing my college studies, he brought me a book that is of Pandit Kumar Prasad Mukherjee ji, and it's the name of the book is Kudrat Rangi Birangi, right? And after while I was reading it itself, the book itself, I was just feeling so fascinating, from the very, very beginning of Khayal Gayaki, from, mm, from Gwalior basically, right? Mamman Khan, Shakkar Khan, Mamman Khan. So the whole stories, all the stories were so fascinating and so well described and well explained. How this, these all these Khayal Gharanas from Gwalior to Jaipur, right? Jaipur, Ustad Alladia Khan Sahib himself was a Drupadiya. So after singing for 7 days long in the Darbar of Amleta, he choked his voice, right? And from that, breaking that Drupad style, he just took out this new style of Khyal rendering, right? Later, it became that Jaipur Gharana, right? And he was the only person who saw the flourishment of his own gharana living, because he's the fourth generation. When you see your fourth generation singing your own style or playing your own style, then you can call it a gharana, right? In vocal only Ustad Alladia Khan Sahab, and in instrumental only Baba Alauddin Khan Sahab. These two legends, these two saints, I say, they have seen the flourishment and the fourth generation playing and singing in their lifetime, right? So these stories were so fascinating to me, and how these ustads, these legends, they used to riyaz, they used to practice, and the fascinating story of developing the Khyal Gaikis. So it's so much intrigued me, and I thought that I must learn um, this man actually who has written this book, and he was. I was really overwhelmed with these stories, and the binding of the stories, and the developing the book, the how the stories were developing. And then I must say that I went for a abroad tour to Spain actually, and there couple of months I spent with Srimati Suchi Sri Ray, a fantastic vocalist, a little senior than me, but she's a fantastic vocalist, and she is a disciple of Pandit Kumar Prasad Mukherjee. And when I came to know, I said her that, Didi, please take me to him. I wish to learn from him. So you please take me to him. See, there is term right in the world that is called law of attraction, right? So right from the beginning of the reading of that book, I was so much in love with the author and the stories itself. So maybe I attracted it so much that Suchi Sridhi made me in that tour, and I just told her that with folded hands, just please you take me to him. And at once she just agreed that she's okay. It's not a big deal. So I call him Mama Babu. So I'll take you to him. Not a big deal. So when I returned from that tour, she took me to my first vocal guru, that is Pandit Kumar Prasad Mukherjee ji, and I started learning, both with the vocal and the sitar, because he was such a fantastic guru. He in the class he used to tell me, "Gao, please sing." whatever I am saying, you try to sing. It's not like until you sing as an instrumentalist, you can execute through your instrument. And time to time, he used to tell me that bring your instrument out, bring your instrument here, and just play in front of me. I wish to see that what you are, whether you are learning anything from me or not. So that's how my journey began with the vocal music. Mostly, what happens, mostly the learners, they learn first the vocal music and they get shifted to the instrumental music. But in my case, it was the other way, right? From the very beginning, as in my family, my father was learned in vocal music, so he used to guide me all the time with the num tum alap and all this stuff, vocal music and all. But at the beginning, I started with vocal, instrumental music learning, right? Sitar learning. But after that, after 12 years, I learned with my Guruji Pandit Manilal Lag, and I learned from Pandit Shamal Chatterjee ji for like 4 or 5 years. After that, I, with my Guruji's permission, I went to Pandit Kumar Prasad Mukherjee ji, and he accepted me. That's how my vocal learning started.
And after that, how did it progress? How did you go deeper and deeper into vocal music and to the current form of music that you play now?
Right. After that, what happened? After I learned from Guruji for 3 years, Pandit Kumar Prasad Mukherjee ji, he died. Right? It was sad. It was his sad demise. Were out of cancer. So he died, and I was just playing myself. So far, what I have learned, I was just developing myself. That time, Devapriya went to Upaj to learn. That is 2007. He started learning from Upaj. And 2008 in March, our joint duet tour matured for Australia. So we are preparing ourselves to go to Australia in February, March that time. Then he told Apaji, of course, that the Apaji, this tour has matured, so me and Samanwaya, we are going together. So then and there he said that, so you will be performing a duet, right? So he said, obviously, so you'll be performing my compositions too, Thumri, Dadra, and Tappa. He said, maybe Apaji, I cannot, I'm not sure, but maybe some of your compositions, of course. Then she said, this is the difference with the legends, right? That's why they are legends. They said, see, better you are learning only 1 year from me, right? So you are not yet very much prepared into it. So in this situation, if you guide him, you may, rather than guiding, you may misguide too, right? So rather than that, tell him, with you he comes to me, sit up front with me and learn my things so that I can give both of you, and then you do the duet. So far, whatever you're doing, you complete the tour, your duet tour, and then you come back and you both sit with me and learn. Tell Samanway to learn with me also. That was such a thing for a lifetime for me. When she said that, and they told me, and I said that, oh, this is just winning a lottery. And I joined her, I think, in the month of May 2008. And after that, till she passed away, both of us we learned together with her. And so many compositions about Khayal, Tappa, Thumri, Tab Khayal, and Dadra, Jhula, Kajri, Chaiti. And I learned it by singing also. And at the same time, with her also, she used to say that, सितार लेके आ रे, कब तक ये ऐसे गाना सुनेंगे तुम्हारा, सितार लेके आओ तो पता चली कि तुम क्या कर रहे हो. Right? So that's how my vocal training just were on full bloom.
You were just so lucky, Dada. Like you have trained
Indeed,
under.
indeed I am. Indeed I am, of course.
Like all of your gurus are absolute legends.
Yes, 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 yes.
Okay,
And you know
now I'll
what gurus give you? They give you the insight to see your art, right? Yeah. They take you to
right.
the garden. They take you to the garden. It's a big garden full of, beautiful and range of plants and trees. And they just show you that this is the beautiful garden out there, right? You go and see, right? They
Absolutely.
Yeah, they introduce some trees and plants, beautiful flowers to you, and rest, they just encourage you to explore yourself.
Absolutely, Dada. So, so, so beautiful and important. And
Yeah.
okay, shall we move on to the next question?
Please.
Okay. Again, you were just telling us about how to picture a raga, the physical side of preparing yourself to play that raga, and then the philosophical and emotional side of delving deeper into it. So our next question again comes back to that point, that when you are playing a raga, how do you usually like to approach it? Like, some consider them strictly as mathematical permutations of a group of phrases presented in an aesthetic way. Some just like to bend the rules and lean a bit more on the aesthetics. Some people want to strike a healthy balance, a nice symbiosis between the aesthetics and the structure. So how do you see a raga when you're planning to play it?
There are two aspects when you learn a raga, right? One is pretty technical. Arohan and Avarohan, ascending, descending, then the Badi Samvadi, then the Pakad, Chalan, and all these movements, and you learn from your guru. Yeah. And one is very philosophical and spiritual aspect, right? But when you go to perform a raga, the first and foremost thing is to surrender. You surrender in front of, because Apaji used to say it, ki beta, every rag has its own soul, right? Apart from all that, these are their only parts, body parts, ascending, descending, Badi, Samavadi, Pakad, Chalan, Jati, Ragang. These are only the body parts. But whatever, apart from all these, there is obviously a soul, right? And you must surrender to it. If you're presenting Yaman, you just surrender to Yaman and say that I don't know anything about you. I know nothing about music. So you please give me that permission that I can demonstrate you, and please take me, जो जिसे कहते हैं कि बेड़ा पार लगाओ मेरा, so that I can present it in a right way. So that's when you are on stage. It's very different when you are practicing home and you are presenting on stage, right? On stage, if you don't surrender, then Raga can any day smash you up. Because I have seen it's not choti muh badi baat nahi kehni chahiye, but I have seen many legends, and very primordial ragas, they could not establish. I'm not naming anybody, but they could not establish. So raga can smash you up anytime. So all the time you're going to present your seat on stage, whether it's online, whether it's digital stage, or whether it is physical stage, that surrender must be there, that I'm at your feet. Please accept my offering, and please mera beda par lagao.
Kya baat, Dada. I think this is why our form of music is probably one of the most spiritually awakening and connecting forms of music for everyone, whoever's in this, I shouldn't call it a trade, but in this meditation and in this journey with all of us.
Right, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, you are also a very fantastic musician, and you are presenting ragas too. So I think you experience the same. Someday one raga, comes with full bloom. Someday it doesn't come.
Yes, I'm very scared of the ragas, in fact.
Yeah. That's why that surrender. That please pardon me with my mistakes and please accept my offering.
Yeah, it's like every time I go on stage, it's like I promise I'll be a good person. Please, please just be good to me. It's like
Exactly. Once Rajan Sajanji, tell Pandit Rajanji specially told us when we were interviewing them actually, for the Upaj's documentary. He said that जो आदमी राग से डरता है क्योंकि राग ऊपर है, आर्टिस्ट नीचे है उसका. राग इज अबव ऑल आर्टिस्ट, राइट? आप राग से नीचे हो, यू आर बीनेथ. सो जब तक आपका सर ना झुके ऐसे, राग whenever it wishes, it can destroy you on stage.
it's very similar to the concepts of the other branches of sadhana we have here in the Eastern realm, like ranging from Tibet
Absolutely.
to the southern parts. Like it just resonates and correlates with our music. It everything seems so similar.
Absolutely. The moment you call it sadhana, you right? There is a vast difference between sadhana and riyaz. The moment you call it sadhana, at the whole dimension changes.
Right. Okay, Dada. Then we'll move on to the next question. And
Right.
even I'm getting very carried away because these questions are so interesting and your explanations are so intriguing that I cannot stop myself from letting the questions grow and answering and asking
Please
you
go
more and
ahead.
more.
Please go ahead. I'm trying my best. I'm trying my best. I don't know, however, I'm being able to fulfill your queries or questions. But
No, Dada,
with
thank
all
you
Guru's
so
grace,
much.
I'm just
Thank
trying
you
my
so much
best.
for being here.
Yeah.
Okay, then I'll move on to the next question. This is again something subjective and it's like a niche to his own question, but I think it might have some standardized answer as well, which you might be able to enlighten us with. So, my question is in the olden days, the ustads and the buzurgs, they used to present one raga for quite a long period of time and they used to show it and show all the parts of it, all the different aesthetics of it very elaborately. Now in our time standing in 2021, I'm sure it's a bit difficult to go on exploring like that. So what do you think should be the ideal performance format for us musicians right now?
See, there are presentation of 3 minutes also in 78 RPM records with the legends, right? And you cannot deny that those were the 200% the mool swarup of the raga. So if you learn properly and if you have mastered the way that you make ragas happy and in favor of you, then in few seconds also you can show them up with your audience, right? You have mastered that way, and you have that. If you have that rapport with the raga, right? If you have that level of sadhana, when we say that, oh, for Indian classical music, it needs at least 40-45 minutes time, then your level of sadhana is that much that you need 45 minutes of time to establish a raga, right? And but if your sadhana, the level of your sadhana is that much, so far our legend has shown, right? In 3 minutes, you listen to the records of the 3 minutes, that 78 RPM. You cannot deny it. This is not Yaman, this is not Kedar, this is not Bhairavi, this is not Bhupali. You cannot say that, oh, this is only 3 minutes, right? Oh, so the rag hasn't come. All the time the rag came actually 500%. That's the level of your sadhana, right?
Right. That pretty much nullifies all the other explanations to this
Yes,
question. Thank
yes. So
you
it's
so
very
much.
hard. It's very hard to claim that for demonstrating or for establishing raga, this much time is needed. It depends upon the level of your sadhana.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Okay, Dada, for Gayaki young players like us who are interested and have an affinity towards playing the vocal music forms, what do you think should be the most important practices, like both technically and how to train your mind to think that way, like a vocalist?
See, for vocalists to go closer to the vocal style, two things you must practice the most is gamak and mean. And mean is a thing element to practice in very advanced level on instrument. But the gamak, very very basic level, you should start practicing the gamak. That's the technical part I'm telling, right? And the aesthetical part, again, my guru gave me that Mahamantra: listen more to vocal music, right? More you listen, it gets lodged into your subconscious, right? Whatever vowel expressions even we have, right? It doesn't come, extempore with that fraction of seconds, because it is already lodged into our subconscious. Because the conscious is only the tip of the iceberg, right? Two-thirds is subconscious. So lodge your subconscious more with vocal expression. And when you are, and my Guruji used to tell one more thing, that you don't need to sing for the world, but you must sing for yourself if you wish to play Gaikian, right? Until you sing for yourself that man bere bere chahat man bere bere tumhare darsh dekhan ko balama man bere bere, until you sing, it's very hard to get those expressions right to execute, right? When you sing, then you know what it takes to execute those phrases, the way the vocal music is rendering. Right? The two things, for technically, you must practice gamak most, right? So gamaks includes gamak, halak, hudak, all these elements in vocal music. Gamak, halak, hudak, bahalwa. With a single practice of gamak, you can bring all these elements into your playing, right? So there is gamak, halak, hudak, and bahalwa. If you practice gamak, that's the technical part. And the aesthetical part, keep listening. Keep listening to ustads, to pandits, right? And your subconscious will be prepared that way. That whenever you sit playing, only these things will come. Guru ke guna gao. When this, drives you to play sitar, then automatically Gaiki is in your playing. You don't need to think much.
Absolutely, Dada. And also, the only thing that our instruments lack are vowels and consonants. That's the only part that they cannot
That's
speak.
right.
So how
That's
do
why.
we?
That's why for us, it's more complicated and more hard, right? We cannot say Guru ke guna gao, but we can speak re re ga ma ne pa re ga ma ga re sa ni da ni re ga ma ne pa re ga ba ba re sa. To without language, without literature, bring out these things is really tough, and you need to be really prepared from very inside.
Right, right. Okay, Dada. I'm moving on to the next question then.
Sure.
Okay. if you were given an option to choose only one raga for the rest of your life, like only one raga, what would it be?
Doubtlessly Yaman.
I kind of expected you to answer Yaman.
Yeah, that's a raga. You can play for your lifetime and you'll never get bored. So many
And
options, so many possibilities, so many phrases. Every time, every time you see playing Yaman and you in you what should I say? You bring it newly, pretty. That comes pretty newly to you, right?
right,
There is
right,
one story. I cannot restrict myself to stay you there to tell you that story. That once Aladia Khan Sahab was, invited to, I think, in a riyasat of, I think, Jammu and Kashmir, right? The Maharaja, Jammu and Kashmir. And that Maharaja demanded 7 days he sang in the court. The Maharaja demanded all the 7 days Rag Yaman, right? And he was intrigued after 7 days that Ustad ji, how could it be so different? 7 days you are singing Yaman only, and how could that Yaman be so different in 7 days? Seven kind of Yaman, right? Then he said, this is the beauty of this music, and that's why this Rag Yaman is called Sadabahar.
absolutely. I totally agree with you. Yaman just comes and shows us different colors on different days, and then he's like, "Okay,
Exactly.
bye bye. I'll see you
If
again
you're sad,
tomorrow."
if you're sad, it's Yaman. If you're happy, it's Yaman, right? If you're sad, Yaman makes you more happy. If you are happy, it makes you more happy. It makes you happier, right? If you will ecstatic, it's Yaman. If you are joyful, it's Yaman. You know, all the dimensions of life you can find in Yaman. So if you ask me that what is the raga for rest of life, doubtlessly Rag Yaman.
Thank you so much, Dada. That was a really fantastic answer right there.
Yeah.
And the story was very, very beautiful. Aladia Khan Saab's story.
Yeah.
And okay,
Yeah, these are fascinating stories, and when I read them, I was just I got a jaw drop actually like that,
okay.
because that time, 15, 20 years back, I was still in that phase when I'm preparing my skills and just on the verge of, just on the threshold of preparing skill and going to that transition of the philosophical aspect, right? So these things were pretty new to me. How legends, looked at the raga presentation.
Thank you so much. Like, really, today's interview, I think this is one of the most insightful conversations I've had with any musician.
All Guru
And
Kripa.
thank you, Dada, again for coming and joining us today. Okay, I'll move on to some faster questions now.
Yes,
So,
yes.
apart from Hindustani classical music, what are the other genres of music that interest you, that you listen to, that you would like to explore maybe in the future?
Anything, there is sur and tal. Any music. That could be classical music, right? And you must know that classical music is only Western classical music, right? We call it Indian classical music and Western classical music, but in the West, it's only classical music. And only classical music is there that there is, Mozart, Beethoven, Bach, Vivaldi, Tchaikovsky, they. So I love to listen to classical music of the West, of course. I'm very much fond of, flamenco music too, right? I'm very much fond of folk music of any genre, any country, anything. Because music is the base, the foundation of any music, right? In our music on the Bharat Natya Shastra, it's called Aranya Gyogan and Gram Gyogan, right? The folk music, the music of the forest and music of the village. So of course, folk music, of course, any folk music. I mean, not only from Bengal, but the other parts of India and the other parts of the world too. That also, give me goosebumps. Folk music, and any good music, all the country musics, right? It's maybe American country music also, right? So because that attachment to the soil, right, to your roots is so strong, right, in folk music. And people very often say, classical musicians, they say very often the jazz, right? But I must accept that I don't have much knowledge about jazz. So uh, I haven't listened also more of jazz. That's also great, phenomenal, music, tradition. But I am not very much exposed to jazz. But this music, classical Western music, and flamenco music, and to some extent pop music also, I listen to, you know, and reggae also too, right? Louis Armstrong, What a Wonderful World, my favorite song.
Dada, I'm very lucky to say that you and I have a lot of common tastes in music as well.
I'm sure. I'm sure. I'm sure.
Okay, I'll move on to the next question then. Okay,
Yes.
this one's okay, kind of like a rapid fire. So, who are your favorite contemporary artists in Hindustani classical right now?
See, with Sitar, I must name Niladri Kumar, right? Because not the thing that he's playing something else, hatke, but he is a trendsetter, right? And to more or less all his younger generation follows him. So that's why he earns my very deepest respect from this generation. Basically, after Ravi Shankar ji and Nikhil Banerjee ji and my guru, right? There is not much names who are the trendsetters. But in that way, Niladri ji is, he's actually a trendsetter, right? Maybe many people are criticizing him that he made Sitar, he's making it electronic. I don't care. At least end of the day, he's bringing up, he's enhancing the taste of the younger generation, right? Right. So he's the, as if you tell me as instrumentalist, I have very deepest regards and respect for him.
And apart from him, like if you could name a few of your favorite contemporaries who are also working in vocals, percussion, all around the spectrum.
Hmm? See, there are many. India as a country is a big country, right? It's a big country. So all over the all corners of this country, people are, they're practicing, not only practicing, they are doing that sadhana of music, right? So if I name somebody, it's a clear injustice to others. Yeah. So I don't want to name specifically, but all people who are, bringing that music, that age-old tradition to the surface, right? Every time. Hello, Devjit. Devjit is here and he say hello, Samanwaya and Swarnabha. Hello, hello, hello. So much to see you. So much, happy to see you here, Devjit. So all my contemporaries, I'm really, really, very much respectful and very much, wishful. And I really bow down to all of them because they are bringing this age-old tradition, right? This is the oldest traditional music in the world. And if they're bringing this tradition every day to the surface, and with their example, thousands and lakhs and millions of upcoming generation, the boys and girls, they are following them and walking at the right path, at that path of old tradition. So my very heartfelt thanks and respect to all of them.
Absolutely, Dada. I completely agree with you. We have so many good musicians in this country that even it's very difficult to streamline them
Yeah,
in
that's why I
a
said that.
certain
That's why I
category.
said that if I name somebody, it's a clear injustice to others.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, Dada. The next question is again a bit similar. Now, who are your favorites from the non-Hindustani classical music tradition right now in the contemporary Indian music scene?
As I said, Niladriji is there. Purvan Dada is there. Purvan Dada is doing such a phenomenal job, right? Past a decade, I must say, right? Past a decade, he's doing phenomenal job. Then, if you take the field of vocal music, Kaushiki ji is there, and of course, my buddy. I learned so many things from him, Devapriya Adhikari. You know, my this whole form of Gayaki, what evolved, with his sangat, right? I've learned so many compositions, so many renderings, so many way of execution, right? From him, practicing with him years, right? Years. Now I think we are just together since last 20 years. So I've learned so much from him, how to execute, especially, how to execute, because anyway, with your with the maturity of your character and soul, it comes to your emotion, right? But when you're stuck, is how to execute them, right? If the execution is not right, doesn't make any sense. uh, doesn't make any sense that how much you are prepared internally, because you don't know how to execute, how to express. You have a lot of emotions to execute, but you don't know how to execute. You have a lot of things to say, right? You are so literary, you are so advanced and so top notch, but you don't know how to write, how to say, how to speak. Doesn't make any sense. So in that case, I'm really fortunate about him because there is a term in Hindi, right? Ram Milai Jodi. So the from the very beginning, I found we both found actually that the likes and dislikes, it's so similar in us, between us, right? And people very much very often they ask that how this this rapport, when you represent on stage the duet, how this rapport works, right? This rapport works so much so well because a book maybe he's reading or I am reading. After reading, I give him, read this book, it's a beautiful book, and he reads it and tell me, oh, it's a really beautiful book. As a vice versa, right? Never it has happened that I have given or he has given me and as what you have given, this is bakwas. So that's the that's the benchmark of a good presentation of a duet actually.
Absolutely. And when I see you guys on stage together, your chemistry is like it's like being brothers. It's like you guys have some hidden connection going on which we cannot see.
Of course, of course, of course. And the most important thing, we have kept apart our egos on stage. right? When you are planning to make a duet, it's really very much important. It's very much important that you keep your ego aside, right? Then only, your ego is a big nutshell, right? Which always stops you to evolve, to express. So when you keep that apart, keep that aside, then your art and your execution, your expressions, it comes out in full bloom.
Absolutely, I totally agree with you. This is why I think most of the times we see a lot of duets not really having that spark. Yet some duets, some legendary duets like Ravi Shankar ji's and Ali Akbar Khan Saab's duets, and like whenever we
It,
listen to them,
you know,
there's that
all
instant
the time
spark.
you will see, it's more than musical excellence. It's the love and the mutual respect between. It's not only तुमने दो सपाट एक्स्ट्रा बजाया, मैंने दो लयकारी एक्स्ट्रा की. It's not only about that. It's the
Absolutely.
love, and the bonding, and the mm, very bonding actually, that to go together. Now let's talk together. Let's talk together. It's nice. It's so nice to walk along. Let's take a walk. It's more that.
That is such a beautiful way to explain it. I think this is like the ideal situation we should all aim for whenever we're playing duets with
Yes.
anyone.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Okay, now finally I won't bother you much. So now I
Yeah.
have one last big question for
Okay.
you.
One last. Okay. 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 Then I'm relieved.
Okay, and I have one short question. I guess before the last question, I'll ask you that. So this is again a very cliched question that you must be getting all the time. Some helpful tips for practitioners of Indian classical music in general. Like what should they keep in mind? Maybe just a rapid fire.
You know, you must. What I say all the time. As you have joined my workshop also, that keep your form and technique right, right? Because in our music, the hardest part is the 40%, that is the aesthetic and the philosophical part, right? But for achieving that 40%, you must master the rest 60% very well. If you don't master the rest 60%, that is preparing your skills, preparing the elements, preparing the execution, you would never be able to reach that 40% even. So always give most important. Before you reach that 40%, you must give more importance, most important, to your form and technique, because that's the foundation towards your execution to its fullest, right? So you put most of your attention to the form and technique. You practice well, but people say hard work, right? People say hard work, but I say hard work with smart work. That makes the sense.
This I totally agree with you because as I grew up, I kind of had a lot of instances in life which explained this to me. The situations explained this to me that working smart might be a way more effective way to get this music in your system than just to keep on
Intelligence
running.
people. Life is short, right? Life is short. Life is not, I mean, very elaborate. Life is short. What intelligence people do, they do save their time. For saving your time in life, you must work smart.
It's like that Bill Gates. So I read the story about Bill Gates where he said that I'd rather hire a lazy man who'd be smart enough to finish my work in 2 hours than hire someone who works very hard but takes 5 hours to do the same thing.
Mhm. Exactly. Exactly.
Okay, Dada. Now we come to the last question, and I won't bother you after this. Okay,
I'm
so
happy to. I'm happy to being bothered.
we are again very happy that you came for the interview, and we are really really intrigued because this has been a very insightful episode, and I'm sure all our listeners, all our viewers will be benefited a lot by this discussion. Like, that is our sole aim, and we hope that we have like helped them that little bit in understanding our music a bit more deeply, basically.
I hope so too. I hope the same.
Okay, Dada. So the last question is, standing in 2021, how important is the correlation between the music of the West and the music of the East for us to flourish as a world music genre?
Because you see, music of the East and music of the West, right? The common term is music. So music has no East and no West, right? Music basically it has no East and West. It's the only one term that is music, right? So in the in this era, in the 21st century, what I should keep more in our mind, that it has to be, appreciation of good music, right? If when a bird sings, we never ask whether it's from the west or the east, right? That's the supreme music of the nature. When a falls flows, we never ask whether it's from the east or east or west. So like that, music. See, we made the boundaries, right? Who made east and west? Nature does. Nature didn't. Nature haven't. Neither God have. You read all the all these religious books. Have there anything mentioned? This is the religion of the east or religion of the west. Nothing is mentioned. So we human beings, we have separated this world as east and west, developed, underdeveloped, and developing and non-developed. Right? To me, there is only one religion, that is humanity. And so, if humanity is the one religion, this another religion is music. Otherwise, you see here a lot of people who enjoy so much jazz music, right? That music has nothing in common with us. The literature is quite different, the presentation is quite different. But being a people from the east, how could you enjoy that? It must be some bond attached to it, right? Because we are all connected, the whole world is connected, right? If you plant a seed, whether in the east or west, out of that a tree will come out.
After this answer, I think it's a complete mic drop, and it's just stupid to ask any more questions.
Yeah, this is so far the insights from my gurus, my elders, my parents I got so far. And of course my friend, you know and from a lot of literature and the from the legends who have given me that insight after reading books and all. I mean, listening to the lectures and all. This is a collective effort and collective, mm, basically you can say opinion from me.
Like, everything that you told us, those were like little shards of light in a sea of darkness. So I hope it benefits all of us and lets us see better a bit, because we're all trapped in this ocean at the end of the day, and we just all want to find the sea beach as soon as possible and get a little bit of rest.
Yeah, you see, this term also, darkness and light, this is also relative, pretty relative, right? For the humans and other animal kingdom, which is darkness, for an owl, it's a light.
Right, right. And there are so many Eastern philosophies, like
Exactly,
all our branches of sadhana, which say that only in darkness you will be able to find light.
exactly, exactly.
Okay, Dada, I think I'm absolutely overwhelmed and I'm out of questions. We are really glad that you agreed to join our interview, and we cannot thank you enough. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Pleasure is all mine. Whatever you have started, it's a great, great endeavor you are putting forth. Please keep it up. And whenever you need any kind of, support or any kind of assistance from me, I'm there for you. And you Anirban, you guys are really fantastic musicians of the upcoming generation.
Thank you
So
so much, Dada. That's
always keep
like a
the work
lot
going.
coming from you.
Yeah, Allah, just keep the good work going, and I'm always there.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
You're
Okay,
welcome.
guys. So I think we'll be signing off today. I've bothered Shamanada enough for one day, and now I think we must all go. It's late as well. Thank you so much for being here with us. Thank you so much. A lot of you have been putting in lovely comments for him. I've been pinning the comments on screen for everyone to look at. And again, we thank Shamanada so much for joining us on this lovely evening. And it was raining outside, and his nand really enhanced the effect.
Yeah, again, it's all Guru Kripa.
Thank you so much, Dada, for being here with us. So
Thank
we'll be
you.
signing
Thank
off
you for
now.
inviting me. Thank you for inviting me and bearing me so long. Thank you so much.
Okay, so everyone, we'll be bidding you guys good night now. Stay safe. It's a bad world out there, so just be safe. Enjoy good music. Take part or just be a listener. Either way, just let it flow. And thank you so much for being here with us. Good night, everyone.
Good night. Good night. Namaskar.